Hello and welcome to episode 4 of How to Learn Anything, the show in which I learn 2 unrelated skills from scratch and combine them in interesting and unconventional ways. During the show, we'll break down the process of learning cool stuff through bite-sized chunks of information provided by industry experts, my failure, and hopefully, my eventual success.
New from How to Learn Anything, the Car Roll Splits Action Playset with the Convert-It-Yourself remote control car. Starring the Steven Seagal action figure, complete with VR goggles and remote control.
You can do the splits. Just look in the episode.
Yeah!
Will the car flip and splits action work as advertised? Find out now at all major retailers. Splits action learned separately.
Embrace your inner 80s action star. This is how to do the splits while taking a full-size remote control car off a jump. Can anyone learn how to do the splits?
You know, I think with enough time and dedication and practice, I think most people should be able to learn.
I have 3 months to go from having a fairly average level of flexibility to doing the splits. What do I need to be doing in order to get there?
I would start with a really good cardio warm-up. Make sure your body is nice and warm, your heart rate's elevated. Then I would move into some dynamic stretching and movement. I would stretch your hamstrings, your hip flexors, and then I would work on holding your splits.
How long does it typically take for someone to go from maybe the average level of flexibility to being able to do the splits?
It's really hard to say because everybody's bodies are different. I haven't really seen anyone achieve it within 6 months, even within a year.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's quite an undertaking.
After Mackenzie's polite way of saying, I think what you're doing is impossible, I've decided that the only way I'm going to be able to potentially pull this thing off is if I stretch every day for an hour, following the exact routine she gave. Day 1. Pretty good. After 3 weeks or so of stretching, I had another lesson with Mackenzie. She fixed a few problems I had with my routine, liked the progress I made thus far, and showed my brother and I some partner stretches.
To push back.
To get for push resistance.
We didn't do them. Shortly after, I dislocated my shoulder wrestling the same brother, which made warming up pretty tough. It's tough because I can't let my arm move around a whole lot, but I still gotta warm up for stretching. I honestly have no idea what to do. So I continued stretching until it was healed, got some meggings, and reviewed my progress thus far. That's pretty good. Is it good enough, though? At which point, I figured it would be good to start focusing on the other part of this episode and try to turn this Jeep into a remote control car. We wanted to interview you in a moving car, but it just wouldn't start this morning, so I guess we're just gonna be doing the interview in a -20 car, if that's okay with you.
It's fine. I wasn't impressed.
So how do we take this from this car to turning this into a remote control car?
Well, first we have to make sure the car's roadworthy and safe. Then we can sit down and make a plan, put together a material list. Obviously, we need a place to work on it. Then we can start building the linkages and put that all together, get things ordered as well. And once we get it all working, I was thinking we'd put it up on blocks, get it all ready to go, put it on a trailer, and once we find our field to drive in,
then destroy it. Sweet. Oh my God! Oh my God! It's working! After that, we made sure it was safe to drive and put together a list of things we need to get in order to make this thing work. According to the list, we need a remote control to send info to a receiver, which will send that info to a driver, which should hopefully tell the motors for the steering, brakes, and throttle to move. When all properly mounted, this should hypothetically create a remote control Jeep. Between getting the materials put together and the actual car build, I continued stretching. I started to go for a run and take a hot shower prior to going through the routine and started holding my stretches for a few minutes rather than a few seconds. This really helped, and by the time I got that figured out, the weather improved a bit, we got the Jeep started again, and now we have it finally at the shop and we're ready to work on it. We're taking a bolt out of this chair. Never thought I'd remove a chair from a car. Pretty sweet. So I'm aiming for this, not the bolt. I'm just cutting that off. Okay.
Ease it in. Ease it in. Don't
Ease
put
it
too
in?
much pressure.
Okay. I'll try not to swear, but it's really hard not to.
Tell what's up?
I think I completely missed.
You missed.
Oh man, I could like hardly see it.
That's not bad.
Hey, not bad. Day 3 of the build is complete. It's about a 16-hour day, and in approximately 14 hours, hypothetically, we're gonna be trying to take this thing off a jump while I do the splits. The next morning, to practice for the jump, I drove a small RC car with the virtual reality I created for the big car. Yeah, I think we broke it. So I bought another receiver and took the car out to do the jump. Why are we gonna destroy this? It doesn't make any sense. And then the servo controlling the throttle stopped working, shortly followed by the VR. And after 80 man-hours of working on the car, 3 VR debugs, 1 failed jump attempt, over 100 hours of stretching spanned across close to 100 days, and 2 lessons with Mackenzie, who never thought I could do it. She was right, but who cares? Because now I'm gonna take a friggin' car off this jump. All right, here we go. It's been a few hours. The VR stopped working. I have no idea why. So now, in order to get this shot today, I gotta eyeball this thing.
Tape all the way, you just have to be on the tape
Right at
when
the
you
end.
hit the end.
That was awesome! Yeah! That's pretty cool! And that's how to be an 80s action star. As far as takeaways go for this episode, the first one is that if you want to get down to the splits, plan for it to take a few years. The second one is that trying to be an 80s action star is super fun. And third, sometimes a ton of setbacks can add up to something awesome.